So here's what I want us to do for just a minute today. This may be something helpful for you to do every day, but I wanted to do this with me today. I want you to take just a break on thinking and talking about the pandemic, okay? Like permission to do that. Just take a break on that. Take a break from all your reactions and your comments. Just put that on pause for a moment. I want you to take a break from politics and the impeachment and those pieces that you may have an opinion or may not have an opinion. Just kind of put that on pause for a minute. I want you to take a break on taxes, right? That is coming up, right? So just so you're aware. Taxes and finances and the economy and bailouts and stimuluses. I want you to just kind of tap the brakes on that a little bit, put that a little bit on pause. I want you to stop for just a minute and stop talking about all the things that are different, and please stop using the word unprecedented. I hate that word now, okay? So please stop using it. Don't share that word anymore. We get it. We understand. We're aware of that. And also, I want you to do one last thing, and this may be the hardest of all the things I've said. I need you to stop complaining about the weather, even if it's just for 20, 30 minutes, okay? We all know it's cold. We all know it's real cold. And we're all tired of snow, okay? Oh, but it's pretty. Well, is it? Really? Okay? So tap the brake on that, because here's what I found, and here's what you already know. I just need to help you voice this, okay? Here's what you know. It takes a tremendous amount of energy and anxiety and worrying and strategizing to keep all those conversations and thoughts and opinions moving. It takes a tremendous amount of energy. And with all that work and with all that stress and with all that anxiety, it just sort of builds us up and it takes us somewhere and it positions us somewhere. So here's another thing I want you to do. I want you to take a break real quick on that complicated relationship that you have in your life right now. Just take a break, because maybe it's the coworker that you keep having the same conversation with him over and over and over. The problem is it's only in your head, right? And you've been strategizing it, and so you've been avoiding this person because you really don't want to have the actual conversation, so you just keep having a pretend conversation, a phantom conversation over and over in your head, and you've planned the comeback, and it's perfect, right? And you know what you're going to say, and if they say this, you'll say that, and you've decided in your head, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to tell them what I really think about them and what they really mean and what they really did. And you've had countless conversations in your head with them, and your arguments are so planned now in your head, and it just went so well. It just went so well, but it never happened, right? Others of you have relationships where you just lay awake at night. You just sit there and stew and think about it, and you're trying to work the angles and trying to figure out, how do I even get through this? How do I get through this season? How do I get through this hurdle? And it's gotten you all stressed out and anxious and impatient, and most likely short. You've been short with other people because you just can't seem to get the answer. You can't seem to get the resolution. You can't seem to get the problematic pieces to move and align in a way that gives peace. And so you just lay there, right? It could be at home. Could be with a spouse, could be with a child, could be a relative, and you just can't get them to see things your way. And you've strategized and you've thought about it. I mean, do you have family members where you just you see them post something or share something and you just go to work on them, right? I mean, you just start going to work. Oh, I need to send them this. Oh, I need to share this. Oh, I need to do this. And it's a tremendous amount of work and energy and stress and anxiety trying to help them see your point, understand your view. Some of you, I mean, you're not going to admit to this, but some of you have even manipulated a little bit, and you've conjured up, and you've created scenarios all under the umbrella of help them, right? But trying to solve them and trying to get that angle correct isn't really helping you personally get anywhere, is it? Because you keep banging your head against the same wall. And now you can't sleep, and you're so stressed out, and you're so anxious, and you're just so tired, right? So, before you decide to just quit and throw in the towel in a relationship, or you quit and throw in the towel on a job situation, or you quit and throw in your towel in a political or a financial, all these kinds of things, isn't it true that at the end of that, when you're just at the end of your rope, you throw up your heads and this thought comes into your mind and you go, you know what? Maybe I should pray about it. Maybe now I should pray. I mean, after all, I'm Christian, right? So I'm going to go to church, right? Watch online and all this kind of stuff. So maybe now would be a great time to pray. I mean, isn't that what we're supposed to do? And maybe I should, now that I'm at the end of my rope, and now that I'm so frustrated, and now I don't even know what to do with that person, and now that person at work and all these kinds of, now that I don't even know what to do, maybe now I've tried everything. Maybe now I should try to pray and ask God. I mean, after all, what do I have to lose? I've just closed my eyes and I'll say a few words. What do I have to lose? Because this is the thing that is so important for us, and this is what we want to spend the next couple of weeks talking about, right? Because there's something about this scenario and this solution that we may have out of order. And the insight that we're going to see over the next few weeks that comes straight from the Bible is that what would happen in our lives if we started with prayer for all the decisions of our life. Because here's what I know about you, because it's the same thing that I know about me. When I don't start with prayer and I start with strategy and I start with, I got to figure this out, and I start with opinion and I start with, well, what do other people think, and what do they say about this, and what am I going to do about this, and here's my opinion on that, it always, 100% of the time, exhausts me. And this is what I know about me. If it exhausts me, chances are it's also going to exhaust someone else who's in proximity to me because they have to deal with me. True? Right? So this is why we want to pause. Because what if we position prayer as the first resort rather than the last resort? Because if prayer is so important, isn't this where we should start anywhere? And so many people say, and I get this all the time, and I understand it, well, nothing else works, so now we're praying about it now. We're getting serious. We're praying about it, right? And to be fair, our view of prayer probably stems a lot because it mirrors our view of religion. And our view of religion is very similar, and so this is what creates our view on prayer. So for many people, I think prayer and religion both are kind of like this in people's life, right? I'm going to live my life the best that I can. I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to strive to do the best that I can. And if I get in a jam, then I'm going to turn to church. Then I'm going to open up my Bible. Then I'm going to pray. And because God is kind of like a genie, right? God's like a genie, and so if I get in a jam, then I'm just going to kind of rub the lamp, and hopefully I'll get one of my 3 wishes that God's supposed to grant me. That's right. Isn't that the book of Luke or something where you get 3 wishes? Maybe not. Anyway, and so maybe I'll just kind of hope that God will bail me out and kind of do that because God is like a safety net ultimately, and that's kind of how my view of religion is, and that's how my view of prayer is. God's got like a bailout, and he'd never let me fall so far, so I'll engage this now as a thing. Or a lot of people kind of view God like a spare tire, you know. I'll keep him in the trunk. I'll keep God in the trunk, and if we need him, if we get in an accident or if something bad happens, we'll get him out. But I don't want God to go to work with me. You stay in the car. I don't want God to go to school with me. Oh, God, I don't want you to hear what I say in the hallways. You stay in the car. I don't want God to follow me on the sports field. I don't want God to follow me into the dance room. I don't want God to follow me in these places. I just need you to stay in the car. You stay there and we'll be fine. And if I need you, then I'll get you out. And so when this begins to be our view of religion and this begins to be our view of prayer, you can already see how this begins to shape. I need to make some deals this week, so you just stay in the trunk. I don't need you. In fact, I don't even want you to see it, right? I don't want you to hear what I have to say because here's the problem. Why do we keep God in the trunk? Because there's some things that I just want to do. And if I kind of really believe that God was with me all the time, that would really kind of change the way that I would live my life. That would change the way that I said things. That would change the way that I did things. And so I would just kind of view like God as some sort of extended warranty plan. That if my life gets in a real mess, I can cash that in, kind of take it in, right? And so, like we're going to be talking about the next few weeks, many people view prayer as like an extinguisher. Your life's kind of on burning down. And now, where do we keep the fire extinguisher again? Where's that at? Is it under the kitchen sink? Is it in the pantry? I don't remember, but we need one. We need one because it's about ready to burn down. So let's go get the fire extinguisher. Emergency use only. So no wonder we don't usually seek God first in prayer. Because I, like you, what do? I try to figure it out. After all, God gave me a brain. God gave you a brain. Why would he have given me a brain that likes to solve problems if he didn't want me to solve problems? Right? I've lived so much of my life just kind of thinking that and believing that, like, well, I like to solve problems. I like to figure stuff out. I like to work with my hands. I like to figure all of these different scenarios out. So, God, it's okay. I'll call. If I can't figure it out, you'll be the first one I call after I YouTube it to see if there's another solution, okay? You'll be the first one that I call until after I read a few comments on social media to find out how I really feel about it. And then if that doesn't feel good, then you and me, we're going to chat about this. We're going to figure this out. And so we do this, and over, if we can't figure it out, and if we can't solve it, and if we hit our head against that wall over and over, then we go, okay, now I'll pray. But here's what I wanted to tell you this morning. If you're discouraged or you're feeling like, oh gosh, that's me, right? Okay, back up. You don't need to feel that way. Because when we read the Bible today, and we're going to open up to Matthew chapter 17, when we read the Bible, we have this great story that is told about the disciples. And the disciples, thank God, are so much like you and they're so much like me because they live their life the same way that we've lived our life. And we try to get things right. We try to be in the right place at the right time. We try to say the right things the right way. And they find themselves in a situation where that wasn't enough. And I hope that this verse in the Bible, these verses that we're going to read today, is actually a comfort to you. It helps you pause. It helps you reflect for just a second. And it gives you the sort of traction to go, okay. So where we're getting ready to read, there is this man that has this son, and the son is really, he's been kind of struggling, and he has seizures, and the kid's struggling with seizures, and they come up to the disciples. This man says, hey, can you come, and my son's having such bad seizures, can you be a part of this? And so when it happens, the disciples cannot do anything or heal this kid's seizures. So where we're going to pick up the story is Matthew chapter 17, verse 16. And in verse 16, this is the dad talking to Jesus, and this is so great. He says, look, hey, Jesus, I just need to have a quick second, because I brought my son who's been struggling with seizures. I brought him to your disciples because I thought that you're the disciples and you, I thought that was like the same thing, and I brought him to there. And when I brought him to the disciples, they couldn't heal him. Like, they said some words, they did some things, they tried to comfort him, but my boy still got seizures. And Jesus, in a very comforting tone, I think is so comforting. It's not at all. This is Jesus' response. Well, you unbelieving and perverse generation, Jesus replied, how long shall I stay with you? How long do you not get this? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me. Then Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of the boy, and he was healed at that moment. Now, who's that embarrassing for? The disciples. So then the disciples came to Jesus, and obviously they come in private. You don't want this one public, right? Whenever you just bomb and you tank and your life's falling apart, you don't want this one public. So you go private, and he says, hey, Jesus, real quick, just curious. How come we couldn't do that? Why couldn't we drive out this demon that was producing seizures? And he replied, because you have so little faith. Truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move to here, and they will move and move to the north, and nothing will be impossible for you. So, essentially, the disciples come to Jesus and go, we couldn't figure this out. We didn't understand how to make this solution. We did the right things. We said the right words. We went to the right place, right? But how come it's not working? And Jesus asks a very simple question. Oh, yeah. Well, did you pray? And the disciples go, oh, gosh, we feel so stupid. Bartholomew, why didn't you tell us? We were supposed to pray. Obviously, we forgot that step. We comforted him. We went to his house. We cared. We loved on the family. Matthew, how come you? Luke, you could just kind of see them go. They all just kind of go, we forgot to pray. We just forgot to pray. And this is what I found in my life, and I think the disciples would join and echo into me, and I'm sure you found this to be true. Whenever we forget that step, our lives feel a lot like work, right? How familiar does this sound? I mean, you did the right thing, you said the right thing, you were trying your best, and you're in the right place. And Jesus basically is saying, it's not that if you pray, it's not like it's going to get rid of the work. So you're still going to be tired at the end of the day. You're still going to be exhausted at the end of the day, but it's going to feel like someone's helping you with the work. You're not going to feel like you have to figure it out all on your own. And the disciples like me and the disciples like you go, we worked first and we prayed second. So on some level, it's probably a priority issue for all of us, right? And I think as we kind of turn the calendar page into February of 2021, right? Wouldn't this be a great time for us and an opportunity to sort of reprioritize some things? Because I would think at some point, we're like the disciples going, Jesus, there are some things and there's some categories in my life that I'm exhausted, I'm worn out, I don't see a solution, I don't know what to say anymore, I don't know what to do with this person, I don't know what to do with all these things. And Jesus looks at us and goes, hey, did you pray? Yeah, I prayed. I got out the fire extinguisher. Man, I have been praying to put the fire out. And maybe the thing Jesus wants us to do is to begin with prayer. What if prayer begins to be the first point? What if prayer was the thing that we got? And I understand as soon as I say the word prayer, we all have baggage when it comes to prayer, don't we? I do. We've all prayed about something and it didn't go the way that you wanted. Some of you have prayed. I've prayed before and I felt ignored. I've prayed before and didn't even feel like my prayer left the room. Felt like I got nowhere with it. I've prayed and I've said, God, where were you? What happened? How can this happen? And I can spend all day and all month and all year discussing it and praying and reading blogs on prayer and reading books on prayer and going to seminars on prayer. And then I would come back sometimes and go, I don't understand how this whole prayer thing works. Like, how does it work? And so my advice to you, if you're in one of those moments where you're just frustrated with prayer and you kind of don't see the point of it, is please don't take cheap answers about prayer. Because just because you didn't get the answer you were looking for and just because you didn't get the result you were looking for doesn't mean that your prayer wasn't answered. So I understand why a lot of people check out right here at this point. A lot of people check out on faith completely right here at this point. And this is why I think it's so important for all of us to reposition prayer in your life. Not as a bailout for your life, not as a fix-it, although those things are all possible. But what if prayer began to be the thing that launched you into the next chapter of your life? What if it began to be the thing that prioritized each and every step and each and every thought in your life so that you can pull away from the bailout prayers where that's not the only prayer that you pray, Because here's what we know, and here's what I know about my life, and here's what I know about your life. Your life is complex right now. Your life is complicated, which has made your faith complex. And the whole time Jesus is saying you need to have faith like a child. And you go, well, my life ain't like a child. And so we come up all day and we exhaust ourselves with strategies and models and methods to help us get through. And the disciples, thank God, come to us and let us know how short-sighted that is. And they said, and Jesus asked this most clarifying question of all clarifying questions when he leans in and says, but did you pray? Did you remember to pray? Because the next season, the next stretch of your life probably will not be clear, and you will be guessing without prayer. And the disciples said, we can't figure it out. We just don't know what the next thing is to do. And Jesus goes, whoa, did you pray? And what Jesus is hearkening to is something that happened well in the Old Testament. When we go back to the Old Testament, there's this verse in Chronicles where there was this almost command for prayer in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. And when the people begin to say this is what the Lord God told the people. The Lord appeared to the people of God at night, and he said to them, if my people, who are God's people? Those are you, those who trust and believe that God has a son, and his son's name is Jesus. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, and I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. Now, to be humble is the complex thing right now. That is the most difficult thing that I think as a cultural, maybe you as an individual struggle with when it comes to prayer, is this idea of being humble. Because let me just tell you, do you know how you can crush humility? Do you know how you can just make sure you're not humble? Make an excuse. Excuses will thwart any ounce of humility you're trying to muster up. You know how to destroy an apology? Offer an excuse. I'm sorry. You know, this is what really happened. God, I want to, but here's kind of why I can't. Right? Excuses will destroy any humility you're trying to have in your life. Excuses will destroy any confession that you have in your life. Excuses cancels out humility. And he says, if you would humble themselves, and that's probably our problem, is because we're afraid if we humble ourselves that we will lose ourselves. And prayer can be very, very powerful if it's not your last resort. But if it begins to be the spark that starts the activity in your life, if it's the prayer that starts your day, if it's the thing that starts the next strategic move in your life, if it's the thing that starts the conversation. And no wonder Jesus asked his disciples this question. Hey guys, did you skip step one? Because as you're troubleshooting here and you're telling me all the things that happen, I just got to go back and ask, did you skip step one? And they all go, oh man. So this week, here's what I want you to do as we close. During this week, for your finances, tap the brakes. Start with step one. For your relationships right now, every relationship that you have, at work, at home, siblings, extended family, everyone, I want you to tap the brakes and pause right there and go back to step one. For work right now, what you're facing at work and with all those things that are complicated there, I want you to tap the brakes right now. At school, I want you to go to school and I want you to think about all the things you have to do this week and all the things that are coming up and all the things that are stressing you out. And I want you to tap the brakes right there and go back to step one. And right when you begin to get out your Excel sheet and come up with a strategy, go back to step one. And listen to the words of Jesus that Jesus told his disciples and says, well, before we go to the end, let's just tap the brakes and pray. Because that prayer could be the spark to help you start the next season of your life, no matter how the last season went well. So can I pray with you this morning? Father, I like to make excuses like I don't have the best personality for prayer, and I don't have the best temperament for prayer, and I don't have the patience for prayer, and I like to strategize. And God, could you help me specifically? Because that lacks humility. Excuses cancel out the humility that you're waiting from me so that you can interact and move in my life. So God, would you help me this week to just seek you first in all things, and that may prayer be the thing that sparks every conversation, every decision, every moment of my life. And may I invite you into any situation in my life, and if there's a situation in my life that I feel like I don't want you a part of, would you let that be a red flag and go, oh, danger, danger? Because that's probably where I need you most. So would you help each person in this room on this day, on this Valentine's Day, to tap the brakes, humble themselves, and may we all start this next season of our life with prayer so that we don't have to stop, so we can stop just running as a bailout, as a spare tire when we get ourselves in a mess. Would you help us with that? We love you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.